Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking something that seems, almost invisible, industrial safety signage. And we're going to turn it into a crash course on universal communication.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about those red circles, those yellow triangles you see on every factory floor, every construction site. And the thing is, they aren't just suggestions.
Not at all.
They are a globally standardized language. It's backed by decades of behavioral science and international law, all designed to keep you alive.
That's absolutely right. You see a sign and you think, okay, that means no smoking.
Yeah.
But you miss all the layers, the complexity underneath.
Right.
So our mission today is to deep dive into the actual engineering and the design of this visual system. We're pulling from sources that detail international standards like ISO 7010.
The big one.
The big one. We're going to look at how a system that relies on just 6 categories, 5 colors, and 3 shapes creates this immediate language-free understanding. It's a life-saving shortcut where a second of hesitation can be, well, catastrophic.
Okay, let's unpack that. It's a system that is, by design, incredibly rigid.
Yeah.
And if you spend any time on a job site, you know the basics of danger. But the real power here is the organization. It's a whole hierarchy.
It is.
Before we lay out the architecture, I want you to think about this. Why do safety experts even need 6 different categories? I mean, doesn't warning, stop, and safe pretty much cover the essentials?
That question, it gets right to the heart of the whole standardization challenge. We need 6 because safety experts realize that if you combine distinct functions, you get confusion.
Yep.
For instance, risk prevention. It requires 2 totally separate modes. Stopping a behavior versus highlighting an existing condition. They're not the same thing.
So lay out those 6 essential nodes for us. What are they?
Okay, we can start with the preventive controls. So number 1 is prohibition signs.
The instant veto.
Exactly, the instant veto. They tell you what you absolutely must not do. A specific action that introduces danger, like no smoking, near flammable materials. It prevents the action before the risk even happens.
Got it. Stops the behavior cold.
Then number 2, we have warning signs. These are different. They alert you to a hazard that is already there.
An existing condition.
An existing condition, yes. Think electrical risks, overhead loads, or chemical storage. They demand your awareness and caution about the environment, not necessarily an action you're taking at that moment.
So prohibition is about control, and warning is about consciousness. What about the things you have to do?
Well, that's category 3, mandatory signs. These tell you the specific actions you must take to be safe.
Right. This is all the PPE stuff.
Exactly. This is where your personal protective equipment, your PPE, lives. Signs mandating hard hats, safety boots, or specialized respiratory gear. Compliance with a mandatory sign is completely non-negotiable for even being on the site.
That makes perfect sense. Now let's look at the other side of it. Response and guidance. There are 2 categories for emergencies, and I find the split here really interesting.
They are very distinct, and it's because they serve different needs when you're under pressure. So category 4 is emergency information signs.
Okay.
These guide you to general emergency resources and escape routes. Things like where the first aid station is or the assembly point outside.
And the 5th category, the more specific one.
That's the dedicated fire safety signs. Now, it sounds like it might overlap, but these focus only on equipment and procedures for fighting a fire itself.
So not just get out, but fight the fire.
Precisely. We're talking about the specific locations of fire extinguishers, alarms, and fire hoses. They need their own category because in a fire, that equipment has to be instantly identifiable. It has to stand out from general safety guidance.
It's all about shaving seconds off the response time for a very specific high-stakes threat. What's our last category, the one that gives us a bit of positive news?
The 6th one is safe condition signs. These are the positive instructions. The green flags, they confirm where safe pathways are or where first aid is located. They guide you toward safety or reassurance instead of warning you away from danger.
So you have 6, 2 for prevention, 1 for obligation, and 3 for emergency response and positive guidance.
That's the system.
6 categories. But if the categories are the message, the color is the universal translator. And this is where it gets really fascinating because this color code is designed to transcend every national border, every language, to make recognition just instantaneous.
Absolutely. The reliance on color is a huge insight, and it's all driven by the need for speed. We don't just, pick primary colors because they look nice. We use specific high contrast colors defined by ISO standards to maximize visibility and how fast our brains can process them.
Okay, let's start with the loudest color in the system. Red. We all instinctively stop when we see red, but what technical role does it play beyond just danger?
Well, red is the ultimate indicator. It's for prohibition, danger, and fire equipment. The meaning is always stop or forbidden.
Always.
Always. But here's a little technical nugget for you. For a prohibition sign to be compliant, the red has to cover a very specific amount of the sign. It's usually between 45 and 50% of the area, forming that thick circle and crossbar on a white background.
So that visual weight is intentional.
Oh, completely. It ensures instant recognition, whether it's a no entry sign or a big red emergency stop button. The regulated shade of red also ensures it doesn't just fade into the background.
That instant recognition is critical. Okay, next up we have yellow or amber. This is the classic warning light.
Yellow amber signals caution and warning. It basically translates to be careful. We usually see this in the form of a triangle.
Right.
It's used for inherent hazards like danger, high voltage, or caution, chemical storage. What's so interesting is its wavelength. Yellow is highly visible in low light conditions, and it triggers our peripheral vision very quickly. That gives you that little margin of error to adjust your behavior before you reach the hazard.
The distinction is so important. Red is an immediate halt, and yellow is a proceed with care. Now let's talk about blue. When I think blue, I think calm. But in this system, blue is the color of enforcement.
Precisely. Blue indicates mandatory actions. It means you must do something specific.
No choice.
No choice. The blue on these signs, typically a solid circle, communicates compliance, obligation. This is why you see signs requiring PPE, hard hat required, in that very specific blue. It signals to your brain that this isn't a suggestion, it's not a warning, it's a required safety procedure.
So red is don't, yellow is be aware, and blue is do this. And the color of safety and relief is, of course,
green. Green represents safety, emergency escape, and first aid. The core meaning is safe or go.
Yeah.
Green, especially against a white background, provides that reassurance and clear direction when you're trying to evacuate or find help. It is psychologically the opposite of red. It's the color of clear passage, guiding you to emergency exits, first aid, assembly points.
And finally, we have black and white for everything else.
Correct. Black and white is sort of the utility system. It's for general information, identification, directional guidance, things that don't have the urgency of the other four colors. It's informational, not mandatory or dangerous.
So we've standardized the purpose with 6 categories. We've standardized the urgency with 5 colors, but it goes another layer deeper. It's not just the color. The actual geometry of the sign carries critical, standardized information.
The shape is really the final piece of that nonlingual puzzle. We use 3 basic shapes that have standardized meaning across all the standards, whether it's ISO, ANSI, or OSHA. The most authoritative are the circular signs.
And the circle means compliance, right? It's a rule.
Yes, the circular shape is fundamentally tied to control. When you use it with red, it signals prohibition. When you use it with blue, it signals a mandatory action.
Ah,
The circle kind of projects the sense of enclosure and enforcement. You're either enclosed from danger or you're required to operate within its rules.
then you have the most eye-catching shape, the triangle, the triangular sign.
The triangle is reserved almost exclusively for warning signs. That iconic triangular shape, usually yellow with a black border, psychologically it just denotes sharpness, alertness, potential instability.
It makes you pay attention.
It forces your eye to focus on the hazard. It's universally understood to mean caution, regardless of the little picture inside.
And that leaves the most flexible shape.
That would be the rectangular or square signs. These are purely informational. They're used for emergency info, fire safety, or safe condition signs. Anything that's meant to inform or direct rather than command or warn. They give you context without demanding an immediate change in your behavior.
And crucially, all these colors and shapes, they're nothing without the pictograms, the little symbols inside. This is how the system truly gets past language barriers, allowing a worker from anywhere to just immediately get it.
That reliance on pictograms is maybe the biggest change in modern signage. You take the international standard for fire exits. It used to just be text or a simple stick figure.
I remember that.
Now, the ISO 7010 standard has the running man, a very specific graphic showing a person moving toward a clear exit. The goal is to eliminate any cognitive effort. You don't read exit, you process the immediate action of go here. And this is vital on construction sites where you can have dozens of languages spoken on one site.
This whole system is just incredibly well designed on paper. It leverages color theory, geometry, psychology. But the deep dive doesn't end with design. It has to end with effectiveness. The real challenge for you listening is how this is all implemented and maintained in the messy reality of an industrial site.
Implementation is where good intentions can meet some serious compliance risk. You can have the best standardized sign in the world, but if it's placed poorly, it's useless.
Right.
Our sources stress very strict placement standards. Signs have to be positioned where the hazard is or at the entry point to that zone. They need to be at eye level if possible, and here's a common failure point. If they are retroreflective, they have to be lit correctly, and they can absolutely never be blocked by equipment or inventory.
That obstruction point is constant. That's the difference between the regulation and the reality on the ground. If the sign requiring hearing protection is behind a stack of pallets, the system has failed.
Exactly. And then there's regular maintenance. Signage isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. Signs have to be kept clean, visible, and replaced immediately if they get damaged, faded by sunlight, or made illegible by chemical exposure.
And an unreadable sign isn't just an annoyance.
No, it instantly creates a major legal liability. The company has failed in its duty to communicate the hazard using the recognized visual code.
The physical maintenance is crucial, but just as important is the human side, the training requirements.
Training is the glue that holds this whole universal language together. All workers have to be trained, not just on what a sign means, but on the compulsory action tied to that color and shape.
So it's about building a reflex.
It's about building a reflex. You need to train a worker's brain to react to that blue circle the same way they react to the red one. It isn't about memorizing flashcards. It's about internalizing the compulsory response. This level of training, connecting the visual cue to immediate compliance, is literally what saves lives.
And all of this is enforced by regulatory bodies, both global and local.
Oh, the stakes are very high. Compliance is typically measured against bodies like the international ISO 7010 for the design, and then local regulators like OSHA in the US or the HSE in the UK handle the enforcement of placement and training. Non-compliance doesn't just mean big financial penalties, it exponentially increases accident risk. It turns the workplace into a confusing, dangerous place because that universal language has been broken.
So we've gone from a simple visual signal to realizing this entire system is a sophisticated framework. It's a safety culture that's enforced through color theory, geometry, and mandatory training. Its effectiveness really depends on meticulous implementation and a workforce that is truly fluent in this visual language.
It means that every time you see one of these signs, you are not looking at a suggestion. You are engaging with a piece of compulsory, highly regulated visual communication that has been rigorously standardized to eliminate human error.
It's incredible to think about the depth of risk assessment and global collaboration that went into designing what, to most of us just looks like a simple sticker on a wall. We've broken down the 6 specific purposes. We understand why red, yellow, blue, and green have this specific behavioral weight they do, and we've seen how shape reinforces the command.
We've established just how universal this design language is, driven by standards like ISO 7010. But here's the final thought we want to leave you with.
Okay.
Despite this huge global standardization of the pictogram, that universally understood symbol of a flame or a running man, most sites still put local text warnings below the image.
I see that all the time.
Right. So if the entire goal of this massive international effort is language-free split-second recognition, how does the continued reliance on that small, non-standardized piece of local text potentially undermine the whole system?
That's a great question. The next time you walk past an industrial zone, look closely at that text. You are now fluent in the visual language above it, and you understand the importance of making sure every part of that sign is followed. Thanks for diving deep with us.